Hi guys, what are we gonna do today? Today we're gonna make these cute spring bulbs out of book paper. They're just so fun. Let's get started. The first thing we're gonna need to make these fun paper bulbs is a template. And so we have a template here that you can download. What we're going to do today is we're gonna actually make this bulb right here. Cut this piece out as a template. And I've got my template right here. The next thing you're gonna need is a book. So you can use any type of a book you would like. If the paper is really old, it's hard to work with and it'll crack and crunch. But I wanted something in the middle that wasn't bright white, but wasn't so old it was just gonna break on me. And I took the cover, the paper cover that was on top, I took it off, and this is what I'm left with for the spine. So in your book that you're gonna use, you're gonna want 50 sheets of paper, which would mean if I'm starting at 200, I would go to 300 because there's 2 pages for each sheet of paper. And then what I would do is I would take this off, just like that. Now I know I have 50 sheets. I know this template will fit twice on here. And I'm just going to trace this on here. You can see on the template where it says spine, that's where the spine of the book is. So the 2 flat ends are at the bottom. And at the top, I don't have to cut that again. That's already cut for me. I am going to cut this in half. Then it doesn't slide as much when you're cutting. I found that made it much, much easier to work with. So I'm just gonna take my X-Acto and cut this in half to start with before we start cutting each of the sides out. And having a sharp X-Acto will definitely help you in this. Just be careful, you don't wanna slice any fingers off. There we go. We can start cutting our shape. So I am starting at the top here and carefully slicing. And you want to hold your pages tightly. Just be careful for your fingers because you don't want this to slide around while you're cutting. And then hold your pages down because like right here, the top hasn't been cut through, but I don't want everything else to slide. And you're just going to continue cutting through all of these book pages. And be sure you have a cutting board or something you don't mind cutting through at the very bottom. So now you're going to do the same thing with the other piece that you have. So on the template you're going to see where I have a leaf pattern. I've drawn that and you're going to need 3 leaves. And then the last piece we're gonna cut, I just drew the dimensions on there. That's not the actual size. It's 4 by 5 inches. So the 5-inch side is coming up and down. And we're gonna make lots of small little slices. What I did to make it a little quicker is just fold it in half, as long as your paper isn't too fragile. That works. And then just make small slices up to about 1/2 inch from the top. Open this up. Now we're going to put it all together. Let's fold our leaves in half. So I'm folding these in half lengthwise, and they don't need to be perfect because they're not symmetrical on both sides. So you're going to need a skewer stick for this, and this is what's going to hold it all together. Now I want a little bit coming up here and just a little bit at the bottom, and it's going to give you a little security. So I'm going to cut this, and this is what I'm going to start with. When I am looking at this, like where this point is, I am going to glue these 3 leaves around the top where the point is. I'm using hot glue for this. And just put him on here. Just a little bit down because I want it hidden in between the pages. Put our second one down, overlapping slightly. And then my third one overlapping both of these. Let's glue our roots to the bottom. So I'm gonna go up a little ways on this also. I just wanna make sure that both ends of this are covered in between the actual bulb. So I'm just gonna put one row of hot glue right here and start with the end that is not been cut, and I'm just going to roll it. And every so often just put a dot of glue. And when we're all done, we're going to finish off the top and the bottom. Right now, they're just straight up in the air and hanging straight down. So now for our book pages, you're gonna wanna take about the center, and I just kind of guess, on each of these pieces you've cut, and you're gonna try to fold them back just a little bit. You don't wanna break your pages out, just fold them back. The other side, I'm gonna fold back the other way. So when we put it all together on the skewer, they'll open up all the way around. So this will be good enough to get me going, and then I can even open up more when I've got them on there. Do the same thing with this other piece. The other piece, take about half and just fold half one way. I'm just creasing these open. You just wanna be careful you don't unattach them from the spine. So I'm just gonna carefully, where this spine piece is, so I'm gonna try to make it a little more curved. I'm gonna put a rim of hot glue on the center of this spine, and remembering that this is the top and your leaves are at the top, I am going to set this here and just hold it for a second. And then I'm also gonna take this last page just to reinforce it a little bit and just put a little bit of hot glue on here. So these two pages are just a little more reinforced. You have 2 pages here, and let's do the same with the other side. I'm just gonna do that first on here. Same thing, just reinforce these last 2 pages. Slightly bend this open, and I'm gonna put hot glue and attach that there. Now this is where it makes it easier when you do it in 2 pieces instead of 1. Curving that whole piece all the way around, it can be done, and I've done it. It just, this I found is much, much easier. So just hold this for a minute. And then what we're gonna do is these 2 secured pages are going to get glued to these 2 end secured pages. And same on the other side. Okay, now you can see how this goes around the whole stick. So what I would do then is literally fold your pages. You can fold them one by one, and you can make them so they're more fluffy and come out more symmetrical. And then carefully, you can roll your leaves if you want them to come back a little. And then at the bottom, all I did is I very carefully just squish all of my roots, because you know your roots aren't going to be real straight, and they're all going to be different. You may break a couple when you do this, but you could even trim them, make them longer, you know, cut them longer if you wanted them longer, make them shorter, and there we go.
So you guys know you can get paperback books almost anywhere, garage sales, thrift stores, and you may have some around that you don't read anymore, you wouldn't mind cutting up. Any object that you can find that's symmetrical, you can do the same idea with. But don't forget to look at the template below the video if you would like to do these up. And if you want to, you can put a hanger on them and hang them. I just have them setting in a tree. But I hope you guys give this a try, and whatever you do, have fun.